What's up, shit's here. Now, with his new film Crime 101 coming out this week, I decided to go ahead and do my top 10 favorite Chris Hemsworth movies. Because obviously, he's been some pretty cool stuff over the years. Whether it's Door, whether it's like, Furiosa and stuff. So here is my official top 10. All right. Now, 10 and 9 is probably going to, rub people the wrong way, but I enjoy these movies more than most people did. So first up is number 10 is the 2016 Ghostbusters film. I don't care what anyone says. That Ghostbusters movie was fun. Directed by Paul Feig, starring Melissa McCartney, Leslie Jones, Kristen Wiig, Kate McKinnon. It's more better than most people give it credit for. Of course, this was a female Ghostbusters film, where like a new team of Ghostbusters formed to stop like a paranormal threat haunting New York City. Of course, you got Chris Hemsworth, who plays Kevin Beckman, who's the clueless receptionist here, and he actually stole lots of scenes. Like, even if you did not like the movie in general, you can't deny that Chris Hemsworth was a scene stealer throughout. Like, even critics, people who actually did saw the film and stuff, even critics who did not like the film would admit that Chris Hemsworth was a redeeming quality of it. And definitely a fun character, say the least. Really entertaining here. Of course, his on-screen chemistry with the other, female Ghostbusters here was pretty decent. Of course, the ending scene with him was pretty fun. I mean, I had a fun time with this one, and such a shame that it got a lot of hate at the time, but it is what it is, I guess. All right. Coming in at number 9 is Vacation. Another, film, obviously a follow-up, if you will, or a legacy sequel of an 80s classic. Vacation, of course, stars Rusty, like an older version of Rusty Griswold, played by Ed Helms, who takes his family on like a road trip in an attempt to recreate childhood memories. And here you got Chris Hemsworth, who actually plays the hero of Stone Cranwell, and of course, he plays like the sister's husband here. I gotta say, he actually, of course, plays Leslie Manson's husband. He's still like, it's not really much of a big role, but he really did play the part very well here. There is a little scene with Chris Hemsworth that is very provocative. If I'm not going to go into details, but he actually did still some fun scenes, some fun moments here. I really quite enjoyed Vacation a little more than most people did. I definitely had a fun time with it. Definitely had some fun laughs. Of course, like Chris Hemsworth, playing Audrey Griswold's, hubby, played by Leslie Mann, is something I never knew I really needed at the time, but he was pretty cool in this. All right. Coming in at number 8 is actually one of his earliest films, and that is Cabin in the Woods. Now, of course, obviously, spoiler alert, his character ends up, getting killed throughout. But Cabin in the Woods was one of his earliest films where a group of college friends become like pawns in like a sinister ritual orchestrated by a shadow organization. And Chris Hemsworth plays like the main jock here, who's the jock autotype. Plays straight before the film gleefully dements horror tropes throughout. I really quite enjoyed. Of course, Cabin in the Woods, was written by Joss Whedon, directed by Drew Goddard. It's a really fun little horror film. Great cast of characters here. Chris Hemsworth, like playing the stereotypical jock, was really cool. I mean, this movie was actually even, if I'm not mistaken, this movie was, of course, filmed like before, Chris Hemsworth ever got the role Dora. So, and this movie didn't come out until like a year after Dora came out, and actually a month before Avengers came out. But hey, it's still a really fun one, to say at least. All right. Coming in at number 7 is the film Extraction. Now, Extraction, of course, was the 2020 action movie, that hit Netflix. Where like a black market mercenary who, of course, has nothing to lose, is hired to rescue the kidnapped sons of an imprisoned international crime lord here. And I really quite like Hemsworth's portrayal here. Had some fun action to it. Really does play the part very well. really entertaining, say the least. Of course, he will go on to do the sequel Extraction 2. Still wonder if we're going to get that third one, but who knows? We do got a TV show coming, so there's that. All right. Number 6 is Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. Now, of course, this is the prequel to Fury Road, chronicling Furiosa's brutal origins as she's caught between fractures of the wasteland here, and of course you got Hemsworth who plays the Mantinus, who's a sadistic Matarago warlord who's like charming masses cruelty here, and he really does such a good job here throughout. Anna Taylor Joy is also great in this too. I mean, of course, Chris Hemsworth plays the villain. It's really cool seeing him really getting the bad guy role because you're not really used to seeing him play a villain at the time, and he does such a good job playing this character really well. All right, number 5 is probably one of his better performances, and that is Rush. Rush was also the film that really showcased that more of his acting chops. Rush was directed by Ron Howard, and it's like a rivalry between Formula One drivers James Hunt and Niki Lauda during the 1976 racing season. And of course, like the on-screen chemistry with Hemsworth and Daniel Bruhl's great. It's a really decent inspiration film. Ron Howard did a great job with this one. It's such a really good film. If you guys haven't seen it, highly recommend that one. All right. Number 4, I'm going with Avengers: Infinity War and Endgame. Now, of course, obviously they reprise his role as the Thor character, and I really quite like his on-screen chemistry with Rocket Raccoon in the Avengers movies was a lot of fun. Of course, him reuniting with Steve Rogers was pretty cool as well. Obviously, where he ended up literally cutting off Daniel's head was cool as well. I really thought he definitely gave one of the better performances as Thor in the you know in the last two Avengers saga, and obviously he's coming back for the next one, Doomsday and Secret Wars, so that should be interesting. But yeah, really cool portrayal here. All right, coming in at number 3 is Thor Ragnarok. Now, of course, this is the third installment of the Thor franchise, where he is stripped away of his hammer and trapped in like a distant planet, and he must race against time to stop Hela from destroying Asgard. And I really quite liked Thor Ragnarok. Definitely, I love the dynamic chemistry with Thor and Hulk. The fight scene is really cool. I mean, I had a fun time with Thor Ragnarok here. Kate Blanchett is of course great as Helda. Such really good stuff, man. All right, number 2 is of course Marvel's The Avengers. Now, of course, Marvel's The Avengers is obviously was the first of the Avengers saga, and of course, obviously, I really quite like Hemsworth's portrayal of Thor. Definitely, just abides the role perfectly. I mean, I still remember seeing Avengers in theaters for the first time. Seeing these iconic comic characters on screen for the first time, I know it was really cool. I mean, it was just such a really blast to see. And no surprise, my number 1 favorite is Kenneth Branagh's Thor. I mean, obviously, Chris Hemsworth as the powerful Norse god was great. This was actually his breakout role, and he did such a good job here. I mean, he had stuff beforehand, like obviously Star Trek. He was in, Cabin in the Woods was shot before Thor. But it was really, Thor that really put him on the map. I mean, and just think, Tom Hiddleston was originally going to be playing Thor at one point, but that thankfully didn't happen because I think Tom Hiddleston does a better job as Loki. And of course, Andy Hopkins is great. Chris Hemsworth does such a good job here. I just adore this one. And now did I include Love and Thunder or The Dark World, which they're not as bad, bad, but they're just a little underwhelming. So they're not included. I like Age of Ultron, but I didn't really include that one. I just included my favorite out of the franchise there. But that's pretty much it. Here's my quick rundown. Number 10, Ghostbusters. 9, Vacation. 8, Cabin in the Woods. 7, Extraction. 6, Furiosa. 5, Rush. 4, Avengers Infinity War / Endgame. 3, Thor Ragnarok. 2, Marvel's Avengers. And number 1 is Thor. Now, there are a few other ones I could have included. not the Red Dawn remake. That was the best. There was also Extraction 2. Definitely not Michael Bay's 12. Definitely not 12 Strong. That wasn't Michael Bay. My bad. Definitely not Black Hat. Definitely not In the Heart of the Sea. Bad Times at the Hour Royale wasn't so great. Definitely not The Huntsman. I mean, not Spiderhead was a pretty good one. Not everything he was in Church of God, obviously, but let me let you guys. What is some of your favorite Chris Hemsworth films? Draw comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell for notification. This is him signing.